Hey, let's start the show.
It's May 24th, 2012. Welcome to This Is Only a Test, the official podcast of Tested.com. I'm Will Smith. Joining me today, Norman Chan. How you doing?
I'm doing okay.
You look like you're sitting very far away from the microphone right now.
I also look like I'm sitting much closer to the camera than I usually am.
But
that's just the camera being much closer to me.
Yeah, so we have a short, condensed show this week. Gary Whitta, unfortunately, is off working on Walking Dead.
Is that his excuse this week?
That was what his last week it was In-Laws. This week it is Walking Dead. Next week it's probably going to have something to do with Will Smith or some similar nonsense. But we'll have him back as soon as he's back and available to work. But we're doing a short show this week because we have something special planned for this weekend, and we'll have a extra episode of This Is Only a Test.
Part B.
Part D. On Monday, I think we're going to post it. Probably Monday morning, maybe Sunday night late.
Monday. Sometimes late Sunday would be ideal since Monday is a national holiday.
Yeah, it's Memorial Day where we celebrate our let's see, this isn't the one where we celebrate union labor and the American working man.
No, that's Labor Day.
That's Labor Day. This is Memorial Day.
It's not Veterans Day.
No, not Veterans Day.
It's Memorial Day. It's everyone who's fought in wars.
In wars. So yes. You and I don't count. We don't get. Why do we get Monday off?
So we can contemplate about the sacrifices the soldiers have made. It's like Canada's Remembrance Day,
which is
their remembrance of Canada's contribution to World War II.
Interesting. I didn't know that either. What are your plans for Memorial Day, Norm? You're going to barbecue, set off the summer with a bang, get out your white shorts?
I don't wear white pants or shorts, so no.
Why not? I see a lot of hipsters wearing white pants these days.
There you go.
Fair enough. Question asked, question answered. Plans? Barbecue, grill.
Maybe
gonna
barbecue.
go out to the lake. Do we have a lake?
There are lakes in the city.
Okay,
they're not very good. Maybe barbecue.
Okay,
I keep threatening the house to get a barbecue, but
it's time. This is the time to do it and pay the most you can pay.
Exactly. It's like buying a TV right before the Super Bowl.
You know, if you I have a charbroil back there that I don't use anymore that you're more than welcome to if you want a charcoal grill.
Gas or charcoal?
Well, I have both. I do both now.
Well, what is the ideal barbecue method?
My feeling is that gas is great for convenience.
Okay.
But charcoal, you get a better flavor. I like to taste the smoke, not the meat.
Which one requires less cleanup?
Probably the gas. But you have to then
buy propane.
You have to go out and buy propane, it depends on how much you use it. I mean, one tank could last you like 2 years. I usually use 2 or 3 a summer because we grill
propane or gas is also higher risk of explosion and death.
Yeah, it's pretty unlikely if you buy from a reputable source. You don't want to buy propane tanks on the black market.
We'll see how much the house wants to contribute to the barbecue venture.
So what I'm saying is the one in the back could be free. You could take that away with you today.
I don't want to put that in my car.
Okay, it's a little. There is ash and stuff in it. I have a big garbage bag you could use. You're welcome to it.
It seems like an awful lot of effort.
Next week it's going to be $50.
Seems like an awful lot of effort.
It's free today. That means it's infinity off, 100% off.
Boot barbecue deals.
Exactly. I bet that there's people at home right now screaming at you to take the barbecue and not the goat.
I'd like
back
the other
to the
door.
Monty Hall problem.
I like the other door.
Okay, other door. Let's talk about news. The big news this week was the Facebook IPO.
Did you buy any stock, Will?
No, I don't ever buy stock in tech companies because it's a really good way to lose a shitload of money now that Apple and Amazon are both done.
Yes.
Also Google.
Yes. I made a point not to care or read about the Facebook stock because I really missed out on the Google stock and the Apple stock 10 years ago. So
and the Amazon stock, which was better than them all.
Really?
In a lot of ways, yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So Facebook IPO'd at $38 last week, or earlier this week. It seems like a really long time ago, but maybe it was just like 3 days ago.
Last week.
It was late last week. And there's already massive controversy. It's probably going to lead to SEC investigations and all sorts of stuff like that, because apparently there was information about decreased earnings potential that was relayed to some potential investors at the bank that did handle the IPO, but not to everyone that was buying stock. Which is my understanding is that that's a big no-no.
Yeah, once the majority of people writing about this are the business blogs and the armchair bankers.
Yeah.
That's
You're
when
bored.
Things get real boring.
Yeah, I think so too. So let's move on.
Okay.
Zuckerberg wore a hoodie though, and he got married. Also, things
I don't think he wore a hoodie to get married.
No. I'm just saying separate events. Zuckerberg got married, and he wore a hoodie. So
And then Microsoft launched the social network.
Really, I hadn't heard.
Social so.cl.
Have you signed up and created an account? Reserve your name?
Nope. A network that I couldn't even care to squat a username.
So somebody else out there has Norman Chan.
Probably.
Okay. I didn't bother to register as socially. So what is it? Social
without vowels except O's there.
So it's SOCL.
I think it's SOCL.
It could also be so cool. But then it would be weird not to have some O's and have the other O's. I don't know. I am not particularly looking forward to social. Microsoft's new social network. It just seems like a dumb thing to launch at this point. I think we've reached peak social network.
Yeah,
I think Path and Pinterest are the last two.
Well, did you read? Did we talk about the Flickr article that Matt Honan wrote for Gizmodo?
No, we didn't, but we should because
let's talk about that.
Because Gary's not here and he yells when we talk about Gizmodo stuff. But,
okay,
I thought this was a really good article. Matt Honan basically went through and illustrated the faults and failings and decline of Flickr post.
It was a big chronicling of what Flickr did right when it started. And then what happened after Yahoo bought it, and the missed opportunities and the corporate troublings that led to its irrelevance.
Yeah, the thing that people don't always remember is that Flickr was pretty much the first social network.
Yes, the social aspect of Flickr is the thing that is most forgotten.
Right.
And it was all the back end for social connections, friends. I mean, it was
you could specify whether someone was a friend, a family, a contact, a friend, or a family member,
mm-hmm.
and people
tag photos.
Exactly. The thing that they kind of messed up on, I think, that he didn't get into in the article, but there was no way. In order for you to add someone as a friend on Flickr, they had to be already a Flickr user. So you couldn't do the thing that Facebook and Twitter both do really well, that spawns the email and sends it off to my dad that says, "Hey, you should sign up for a Facebook
that was the least
account."
of the things that they missed out on.
Agreed.
But this is, of course, we're talking about over 10 years ago, when Flickr was.
That sale was 10 years ago.
I don't think if the sale was 10 years ago, but Flickr as
it was like 2002, 2003. Yeah,
was when. There were no free image hosting place. If you wanted to create a rudimentary website and wanted to host large images, you could just have Flickr and hotlink it, and it had templates for galleries and embedding all sorts of cool stuff.
And the only rule, I think, was that you had to link back to the Flickr page from the image. So it wasn't even like it was a bad thing. It was promoting your Flickr account.
I think Flickr still had relevance. I mean, up until 4 years ago, even when in terms of
once
people
Facebook
getting excited about photos. On Flickr, and like there's the Panda system, and then new ways to discover photos, and they are showcasing great photos. I think a lot of people still use it. It's just that
I still pay $20 a year for photo hostage because my pictures from just 2 years ago back to like 2003 are all on Flickr still. The thing that I find about Flickr these days is that it's mostly like photographers, people who maybe don't have a real website but want to have a portfolio up someplace. There's a lot of weird porn there.
I didn't know about that.
And
well, there was a brief time when Flickr was a place for people to host gaming screenshots.
Yeah, and then they shut that down.
They shut that down. And it really is a great place for photographers if you wanted to know here are what the photos. If you're shopping for cameras, for example, and you want to see a lot of examples or lenses, and you want to see examples of what photos look like with certain cameras and lenses, the EXIF data, the parsing with that and sorting is really good. And so you can say, oh, I'm going to choose this group and see all the the 7D photos, the best photos you can take with a certain lens.
But so the place that Flickr broke down is that they never really got on board with the iPhone, with mobile. With second wave of smartphones, right?
Which doesn't say that Yahoo wasn't on board with mobile. Yahoo had a big mobile presence.
How many Yahoo apps are on your phone right now?
0.
Okay, same
0.
Yeah,
and there is a Flickr app. It's no good.
No, it's the third-party Flickr apps that were built using the API are much better. But I mean, the core functionality that I want from Flickr had Apple integrated with, had Yahoo been in a position to integrate Flickr with iOS early on. So you take a picture on the camera, and it works like iCloud does now.
Even without that, iPhone is still the number one camera on Flickr.
Oh, no, I know. But I mean, for a long time, the easiest way to get a picture on Flickr from your phone was to email it to a weird special address on Flickr, which is idiotic.
Yep.
I mean, Flickr was in a position that they could have taken advantage of all the Twitter photo sharing. Flickr could have been the default photo sharing service.
And even without being photo sharing for now, even leveraging its big archive, its big database of photos, just as a way to browse. If I want, let me show me all the best photos of the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yeah.
I mean, I want an app that can Flickr has all those photos there, and I want to be able to view the most popular ones, and it's without anyone needing to upload new photos because there are millions of photos already there.
Yeah, if you want a picture of a pancake, go to Flickr. It's going to be there. Chloe is barking. Thanks, Chloe. She wants a toy. This is great. She has her cone on today because she's itchy again. And now she's just going to walk around and look around at things. She's exploring. Oh, she's going to see Gina. This is good. The Chloe report. The big thing that they missed is they messed up the mobile stuff. They messed up sharing. Matt specifically listed the single sign-on with Yahoo as being one of the big problems, which I didn't find that offensive.
It was a hugely offensive thing.
I understand.
Oh, yeah.
I understand the complaint. I don't think that it was as big. And I think the larger issue with single sign-on was it prevented ease of access, like OAuth identification and hooking up to apps like Twitter and Facebook and other things like that. Because it's still really hard to get your Flickr photos on Facebook. Like it just doesn't work very well. And when you look at Facebook, which is the thing that realistically Facebook and Instagram have destroyed the market for Flickr, the thing that Facebook does very poorly is image quality. I mean, they've made some steps to improve that, but still the image quality and the compression that goes onto the photos that are uploaded to Facebook is vastly inferior to what Flickr has been doing for 10 years. So I mean, it's weird. It's definitely a story worth reading. It's a little bit old now, but
I mean, even the newer 500 pixels or Imager or a bunch of places where you can upload photos. There's a lot of compression, and it's not easy to get to just the original image if the photographer allows.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think Flickr still has a place as the photographer-friendly spot on the web. The thing that the other thing that they listed in Matt's article was oh damn, I just lost it. Norm,
I can't read your mind.
You can't read my mind. What? Okay, so let's move on. Windows. There's a bunch of Windows 8 stuff. We're coming up on the release candidate, the consumer preview, the second version of the consumer preview, which I think is not next week, but the week after, right? So the first week in June, something like that. Along with that is coming the final news prior to that release. First big thing is Sinofsky had a big post last week that explained A, that they're killing Aero Glass, and B, why they're killing Aero Glass. So even on the desktop, Metro obviously had no transparency, but even on the desktop for Windows 8, there's going to be no transparency on the window frames.
We're talking about transparency, I mean actual translucency in the frame, in the chrome of the window.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly right. So the bar at the top of the window where the X button and the minimize and maximize buttons are, in Windows 7 and Vista has been transparent. In Windows 8, it won't be, and they're going to a very square, boxy. It's very reminiscent of the Zune. If you've used the Zune app on Windows today, it's a square window that just kind of floats in space with no grabby edges around the corners.
It seems like in the past week on the Buildings Windows 8 blog, there have been like 4 or 5 significant blog posts. Length, and Steven Sinofsky doesn't write all of them. They are all passed down to the different project leads for different departments. And anytime a blog post on the Windows 8 blog starts off with a history of Windows, you know that history is just prefacing at the end, this is why we're affecting
that means somebody's baby is getting ready to get killed.
Yep, that people love.
Yeah.
To something that people love. And the last time we did that was for the Windows Explorer, changes to Windows Explorer, and now it's about Aero and UI as a whole on desktop.
Yes, so like in the traditional mouse and keyboard interface for Windows, not in the new Metro stuff.
No. New Metro stuff is a separate thing, completely separate thing, and they have their own different battles to fight for that. But retaining people who are using Windows now and convincing them to upgrade if they don't care about Metro, and convincing them that touch is going to actually work on desktop, is a significant challenge.
It's interesting. I've been to a bunch of events this week and have talked to a lot of people in the tech press who've been using Windows and OS 10 and Linux and other desktop OSs for a really long time, and have kind of been running an informal survey amongst those people. And it's pretty much evenly split between people who think that Win 8 with Metro is going to be a complete debacle and people who think it's a potential for Microsoft to kind of rise like the phoenix from the ashes of a moribund ecosystem.
Well, regardless of whether you're going to use Metro or not, Microsoft acknowledges many people don't care for Metro, and they hope that maybe they'll use a few things in Metro. But many people who like desktop now, love Windows 7, are going to continue loving the desktop, and they want to change as little of that as possible outside, of course, getting rid of that start menu. There's a lot of back-end stuff that they're hoping will excite people in terms of boot speed and ease of connectivity and, for laptops, increasing battery life, always-on type style laptops and design. That would be good enough to upgrade to Windows 8 by itself.
Well, if it works.
If it works, yes. But also on the desktop, they want to convince you that touch is going to be completely usable, not just as an add-on. You could use touch as the only means of interfacing with the desktop, or you can use touch in addition to keyboard and mouse. They are equal. And in the blog post, I think the guy writes how he's been using Windows 8 with a touch laptop, and now he can't imagine not using touch on the desktop. And I find that very hard to believe.
Well, I mean, we've all done like as an adjunct to the main interface, it seems interesting, right? If it's I just used my iPad or my phone for 2 hours, and then when I sat down in front of the computer, the first thing I did was reach up and try to touch something.
Never has happened.
Really?
Never has happened.
I do that on the laptop all the time. I never do it on the desktop.
On the desktop, even the laptop, maybe, I don't know, I'll concede maybe once on the laptop. But
like I could see using a touchscreen. We've got an iMac set up over here on the right that runs the podcast stuff. I could see reaching over and touching the screen on the iMac in this situation. It's much more convenient than the mouse.
Well, for touch, just like how you like using a phone with one hand where you're just using your thumb.
Yeah.
The primary mode of touch interface is the thumb. It's because I'm holding the device with my hand, and so the thumb is free and the screen is right there for me to touch. My hands, when I'm using a desktop or laptop, are not tethered to holding the device. My lap is holding the device.
That's true.
On the laptop side. And on the desktop, the floor and
there's a stand.
The stand and the desk is holding that. My hands are free for mouse and keyboard, and that is much faster for pointing and for drawing certain things.
Well, that's true.
And typing.
Like, you tweeted a link the other day to a device that purports to add touch control to OS 10 and Windows machine.
Leap Motion.
Leap Motion, yeah, exactly. It's a $75 thing, sits down in front of your computer, and I assume using a combination of infrared. It's basically like a U-Force for your Mac or PC. Mm-hmm. I watched the videos of people using that and thought, oh my God, there's no way anybody can hold their hand up for more than the 10 minutes it requires.
That's moving it away from touch. And I think that's a better method for the desktop.
It's gestural, I guess.
Right. So,
touch, yeah.
And it doesn't need to be fingers either, because once you get facial recognition and eye tracking, just like the eye stuff we saw at CES, it's any type of gestural movement with your entire body. But waving your hand in front of your screen, and spreading your fingers out to pinch in the air as opposed to touching a screen, there's a significant difference in terms of how much effort's required.
So you're saying you're cool with waving your hand, swiping your hand in front of the screen to clear the windows off, Minority Report style,
or twitching my head.
Well, but that leap thing isn't going to do head twitches.
I don't know. There's a 2 feet radius for
2 feet,
2 cubic feet, or something like that. 4 cubic feet of space.
Yeah, that's above and I don't know
around it.
We'll test it out when it comes out and get one in. Okay, so they killed Aero Glass. This is the big Windows.
I really liked Aero. Never used Windows Tab. Never ever used Windows Tab.
No. I took screenshots of it once.
Yeah, I got used to the look of Aero. I will miss it. I'm sure there will be ways to bring it back.
Well, the thing for me about Windows Aero that was great is more than the look and feel of the Windows was the performance of the desktop when it was composited without using GDI, the old desktop.
It's very fast,
much faster. You didn't have the Hall of Mirrors
fast
effect if you moved a window too fast. Now, when you go back to a machine that's running BASIC, or like you launch Minecraft or something that uses OpenGL and it falls back to BASIC mode, it is immediately apparent that shit is slow.
I think it's even faster than Mac OS for some Windows.
It's tough for me to say because I use Mac OS on an old shitty laptop and Windows on a really.
I just really don't
desktop.
like the way Mac OS manages window maximization and size.
Well, that's
management.
true. That's true. Yeah, and things like the grabbing windows and taking them to the side to make them fill half the screen are brilliant. I mean, that stuff's
and
fantastic.
Arrow as the design aesthetic communicated the notion of like levity, how light the windows are. Like when you move an Arrow window around, it being translucent. In my mind, I feel a connection with how light it is. When something is completely opaque,
I didn't get
and
that.
full, I feel like there's something broken.
I think that's a step. The place where Arrow broke down in my experience was that they didn't do a very good job of telegraphing, and OS 10 does the same thing. They didn't do a good job of telegraphing the cool stuff that you could do with the UI, like the dragging to the edges, dragging to the top, dragging to the bottom.
There is no such thing as something that's completely like user intuitive.
Right. And well, that's one of the places that I think Metro is gonna with the slide out tray with the gems and stuff like that. I think that's where that stuff's gonna really break down.
I'll be interested to see like that video that came out a couple months ago. I forget his name. The dude and his dad using both Mac OS and Windows.
Oh, it was Chris no, not Chris Hardwick. It's Stephen Perillo.
Yeah, I want to see that again
Chris
for Chris Perillo. That for Metro.
Yeah, well, he did that. He
Metro?
put him in front of the consumer preview.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it was
I tried. It's like teaching my parents how to use iOS, and it was not easy. See, it is not easy.
It's interesting you say that because my dad picked up iOS immediately. Like for a while there was I don't want to buy any apps. I'm not going to go into this app store nonsense. And then the first time
there was a lot of inconsistency and unintuitiveness
agreed.
in like just the basic things like sending a photo in an email.
My father does not have any problem with that, but he also can't attach 4 images to one email. I get 4 emails with 1 image each when he's sending pictures. There are definitely inconsistencies with everything.
The forward icon, which is also the edit icon for select photos in your gallery.
Oh yeah,
right. That is not very. That's not intuitive.
Yeah, but I don't think people do that. I think they go to the picture in the gallery and then mash the forward button.
But it's the same. Exactly, it's the same icon.
Oh, it is.
And one is to open that dialog, the drop down for email, message, assign as wallpaper, tweet, and in the gallery that is select photos to delete massive photos at once. Same icon. And one's in the top right corner, one's in the bottom left corner.
Oh, speaking of, I just got an email from my dad. Guess what's in it? A picture.
Tomorrow Returns 5.
So yeah, the Arrow glass is gone. They're going to include Flash. So there will be a Flash renderer built into Windows, which makes sense given that there probably won't be a Flash implementation on the ARM side for IE ARM, especially since there's no plug-in architecture for that. So, I mean, I guess Microsoft still sees having Flash as a competitive advantage over iOS, over the iPad. But I don't know that anybody who's used an iPad in the last 2. Do you miss Flash on the iPad?
Very occasionally.
Yeah, it was a real problem during the time that I had the iPad 1. By the time the iPad 2 came out and sold 40 million units or whatever it was,
HTML5
it stopped being a problem.
It's everywhere.
Yeah. And then the last bit is that they're going to have to add some sort of a interface to slow down the Windows 8 boot in case you need to do a boot menu to switch OSs or whatever, which is seems hyperbolic, but we'll see.
Yeah, there's a big post on what they're doing for boot, and I think Windows 8 is like the first major OS to really tap in those UEFI capabilities.
Yeah.
And there's also multi-monitor management, new stuff in that. So things that will make people happy and will make utilities like Ultramon less relevant.
Well, the multi-mon management in Windows 8, even the consumer preview is much more robust than what's in Windows 7.
Yeah, but it's for that kind of stuff. It's all about the little granular details. Everyone wants a different way to manage taskbars and monitors and positioning and everything.
Right.
And wallpapers and yeah.
Yeah, and they're finally doing that. They're going to do things like let you choose whether you stretch the taskbar or not. They'll let you position one monitor as the default monitor, which right now...
Taskbar icons only on the monitor where that program is open. I like that.
Yeah, stuff like it's much more Unixy in a lot of ways because that's the way Linux has handled multiple monitors since they had multiple monitor support, where only the window that you were working on had the icon show up in the taskbar, which makes a lot more sense in a lot of ways. It'll confuse the hell out of some people though. So that's it for Windows. Did I miss any of the Windows 8 stuff? I think that's the 3 big things.
Nope. just waiting for that next public release.
Yeah, 2 weeks. Where hopefully we'll be back in a studio by then, so we can do some capture and show you guys what that's all about. But I kind of get the feeling from Microsoft that not as many people. I mean, I know that they have massive download numbers, but I feel like not as many people are using it this go round as were in the Windows 7 days.
I don't think there's any question about that.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's partly because my machine's much more complex now than it used to be. I wasn't running a RAID array at the time, and now I am. So
I think also calling consumer preview might be different. There was this.
You're more comfortable with a beta?
I'm almost more comfortable with a beta. In the surprise that the beta works so well, I felt a little edgier.
You felt
consumer preview is way too safe.
Yeah, well, if it has consumer in it, it's instantly more boring.
Consumer preview.
Google's Project Glass. There were people running in. We didn't know because we were at Maker Faire, but there were people running in
blocking the streets. Blocking the streets.
What do you mean?
You said there were people running in the streets?
Well, okay.
They were really blocking the streets and making it very difficult to drive around the city.
Did you know that Beta Breakers happens on Sunday on the middle of May? Is that something you were aware of?
Not after I picked Joey up and spent an hour trying to get around the city. Just to get
it was fun. I had a nice time sitting down in the parking lot talking to the PR people at Maker Faire. They're very nice, actually. We'll talk about Maker Faire in a bit, and probably more this weekend. But yeah, so there were people in Beta Breakers, which is an annual. It used to be kind of an annual drunken mess for San Francisco.
It's Halloween. It's half Halloween.
Yeah, but it's like 10-kilometer run, walk, run, fun run, where it's the only road race I've ever.
It's a real race, 10-kilometer race.
Dude, I've never seen people pregame a real road race before.
Well, if you go to Beta Breakers, because it starts very early, the real racers actually compete, and it is a race. And they finish before the early drinkers wake up.
Yeah, the Beta Breakers I've seen is a bunch of naked guys and like pulling kegs of beer with floats and bicycles and all sorts of crazy shit.
Past couple of years, no floats.
I know.
No drunkenness.
What's the fun of that?
Just the costumes.
Yeah, and if you're too drunk, they don't let you on the course anymore. That seems like it violates the spirit of Beta Breakers. But I guess some of the serious folk from Google brought the Project Glass goggles.
As serious as Google can get.
How serious were they? Charlie Rose serious?
Maybe not Charlie Rose serious.
Okay. So what came out of Google people running with goggles on?
So there was a photography conference that Google held. Just I guess it was yesterday.
Photography,
It was in downtown San Francisco, and at a panel on the social relevance of like Google Plus, and they all did it via Hangout style. One of the project leads, a tech lead for Project Glass, came out and talked about Project Glass, and it was unannounced and kind of cool. And the whole thing's archived on YouTube, of course. But first thing he did was address the low quality photos that had been released of Project Glass from Project Glass.
Oh, like the Charlie Rose one.
Like the Charlie Rose one, which looked like a really bad low light.
It looked like something from my Ericsson T68i.
Yeah, did not look impressive
5-6
at all.
years ago.
And they said that they had been testing Google Project Glass in public a lot now. I mean, at Beta Breakers, the Googlers who ran Beta Breakers wore Project Glass and took photos of it, of their run, and they pulled the best photos and they put them on Google Plus on the Project Glass page. So they revealed a bunch of that and then showed some video as well. And then Sergey Brin also came on stage and talked about that. So cool. I think since we're probably about 6 months away now from Project Glass being announced as a product,
theoretically, or unless they roll them out at I/O in a couple months,
I think they'll probably announce like a roadmap for Project Glass release at I/O. But I think it's still an end of year kind of thing.
Okay.
They said the hardware is going to improve over time. Everything right now is a prototype. They'll have different sensors. They'll have different capabilities, different mechanisms for catching, actually snapping the photos. But there'll be more testing in the field.
So what's the gesture for taking pictures like now? Did anybody notice?
Yeah, in the Charlie Rose interview, it's all head gestures. And I think there was like a button press, and after a button press, there's a countdown timer.
Shutter.
Or voice activation, and then a countdown timer, and then head gestures using accelerometers for where you want to upload the photo.
Okay.
But I can imagine it being a button press and then a countdown timer in the LCD window, transparent LCD. Google does a thing where any Google employee can sign up to take part of beta projects, things that they can that they have announced they're working on or not announced
awesome.
working on. Yeah,
I wanted to beta test the car.
No, I have friends who work at Google who had Nexus phones way before, and it's not like they hide it. It's not very Apple-like where they're using fake cases or anything.
Yeah,
they'll just have the phone. It's in the wild. They can't talk to press about it, but they're encouraged. At that point, the product's almost ready. It's just more of like how people use it.
It's just getting more eyeballs on it before the mass market.
And they're encouraged to show their friends. So I had like a friend like running Google TV, and I guess he was excited about it.
Oops.
Yeah. So I mean, they obviously they work in their own little bubbles. But I'm looking forward to seeing people wearing Project Glass in the field.
Yeah. I of all the products coming out this year, that could easily be another Google TV level of failure. But it could also be really cool, and it could be something that we see.
You'll probably
years before
have to have
else.
an Android phone.
I'm prepping. I'm getting warmed up on Android. I got to get bigger pants is the problem. I need more pockets. The nano ketchup bottle. This was a story you wrote up for the site this week that I thought was really interesting.
MIT does a competition every year. It's an entrepreneurship competition for $100,000. I think is the grant, and this project placed second on this year's competition, and it is for a coating. I guess the product that they eventually came up with was very different from what they originally started with. The end product is a coating for bottles, for condiment bottles. But
we're fixing the world one problem at a time here, people.
Yep, because that's the most. I mean, that has the most impact. Originally, it was to develop a coating for like oil pipes and drainage and windshield wipers. So you solve the problem of getting crap
like
stuck.
Pollen stuck on your windshield wipers, making your windshield wipers not work,
or oil stuck in a pipe.
Okay,
that would be bad.
Doesn't the oil lubricate itself in the pipe?
Or dries.
Are there chunks? I don't know how that works.
But eventually, it turned into a project to
Denise Richards in there.
Sure.
Okay.
Timely reference.
Hey, man. There's a Bond movie coming out.
And now it's a coating called Liquid Glide that they've developed. This team at MIT has developed to coat inside of bottles. So it's a spray-on coating that uses a proprietary formula that's also made of FDA-safe materials, which is important. And the results are kind of amazing. The demo videos they've shown just ketchup just flowing out of a bottle, nothing left inside. It almost makes it look like it's not really ketchup.
Yeah, the demo video is crazy because the thing is, you look at somebody. It happens all the time, right? You pick up the Heinz bottle, you shake it, the ketchup doesn't come out for like 4 minutes. There used to be an ad. You might be too young to remember this one, but there was an ad where the guy put his ketchup bottle on the roof of the building and ran down like 3 flights of stairs, and then came out with a hot dog or a hamburger or something and ketchuped it as the ketchup was falling from the sky. Now, I don't think that would work in the real world.
No,
I'm pretty sure. I think the ketchup would hit the bun and it would explode everywhere and make a huge mess. But
the trick always has been to slap the neck of the bottle
where the 57
where the 57 is, and you slap it real hard. None of this. Don't stick a knife inside the ketchup bottle. That's
unsanitary.
Yeah, and slap the side of the bottle. Hold it at not straight down, but hold it at an angle.
Like a 30-degree angle, you think?
Not a 45. So 30 is about right. 30-degree angle, and slap the side of the bottle, neck of the bottle. And that will get the ketchup flowing, so it won't be stuck, but you're still going to leave a lot of ketchup inside. And the point of this coating is so you don't waste any of this food. Apparently about 1 million tons of food is wasted inside ketchup bottles and condiment bottles all year round.
Did you ever work in food service, Norm? Did you ever have to marry the ketchup bottles?
No.
Oh. You know what that is, right?
Nope.
Okay, so this is going to really gross you out if you're a germaphobe, so you might not want to listen.
No, that's fine.
But at most bars and restaurants, if they have glass bottles of ketchup, it's not like when the ketchup in one bottle runs out, they throw it out and grab another one.
No, you fill.
Yeah, you
refill.
Well, you stack up the empties, the partly empties on top of the partly fulls, and the ketchup goes down from one into the other.
Yeah, I've seen that. It's a balancing act.
It's a balancing act, and it takes forever because you do it and then you leave it, and it takes like 10 minutes.
So does Heinz sell empty bottles to restaurants and then also sell like giant vats of ketchup that you can use to refill?
I never actually filled the empties. That was always somebody else's job, but I was always in charge of stacking because I had a steady hand. Didn't drink coffee at the time.
So I think Heinz probably just sells the bottles.
I think so. No, Heinz.
I mean, they sell just full bottles of ketchup.
Yeah, you buy a full bottle of ketchup.
Yeah, they don't sell, ketchup.
No, they sell tubs because you can get tubs at Costco. I'm sure you go and buy those tubs that are like
The
in hot
tubs
dog
are to
places.
fill the plastic squeeze bottles.
But you can also fill the ketchup's ketchup.
I guess.
It's not like the tub ketchup can't go in the glass bottles. I don't know what the plastic squeeze bottles seem like the obvious solution to this
They
for
are.
me.
They're a great solution.
Right, it's a much better solution for everyone involved. This reminds me of Liquipel though, and also those Dockers. Do you remember the Dockers with the nano coating?
Yep.
Yeah, it's all the same business. Should we talk about Autodesk implants?
Sure.
So I got on the phone and talked to some guys in Toronto earlier this week about some of the first implantation. Well, okay, medical implants are old technology at this point. I mean, they're constantly advancing. Pacemakers, cochlear hearing implants. I think there are even things that prevent people from having seizures that like will detect a seizure about to happen and electroshock portions of your brain so you don't. I don't know if that's a real thing or if it's just something I remember reading about. The folks at Autodesk actually tried some just to see what would work when implanted underneath the skin. Do buttons work? Do capacitive touch sensors work? Can you see LEDs through the screen? Can you hear speakers? Can you detect a vibrating motor? All sorts of different stuff. Does Bluetooth work through the skin? And they built these kind of really cool Arduino powered boards that connect to a PC through wires that they could implant under the arms of cadavers. They were really careful to say specimens.
They were cadavers, and this was in a big PDF research paper that had photos. And I like that in the photos, they cartooned over the cadavers.
You always do that.
Yeah,
it's a privacy thing. So if you donate your body to science, your Johnson would accidentally be in a paper that goes out to 300,000 people.
And it's like MS painted over.
It looked like somebody. That's the standard technique. That's usually what happens.
Whose job is it to MS paint over?
Probably
gore.
My guess is it would be a undergraduate assistant in the lab. Have we talked about the body getting body parts?
No.
So Gina used to work for UCSF in continuing medical education.
Sounds like an episode of SVU.
Kind of is. And she would do conferences, and sometimes the conferences would involve practicing a new technique on cadavers.
So there aren't enough cadavers to go around.
There is a shortage.
Yeah.
So the way they solve
that problems.
One of the ways you solve that problem is by, instead of using a whole cadaver for, say, like an ear, nose, and throat procedure, an otolaryngology
Seems
procedure,
awfully wasteful.
They chop off the heads, and you just use the heads, and then the arms and the legs and the bodies and the chest can go elsewhere.
Okay, like the beautician and yeah.
So Gina had to order from Texas, because a lot of the stuff comes from Texas for whatever reason. Actually, there are really specific reasons that are pretty political, and we won't get into, but needless to say, if you need to get body parts, Texas is where you go.
Wow.
And she needed to get, I think it was like 400 heads or 150 heads. It was a massive number of human heads. Just the heads.
My God.
And the other thing that you don't realize is that like the normal shipping companies won't handle heads. So the people in Texas got them onto an airplane. The airplane came to SFO, and then she and the two doctors that were presenting the conference had to go to SFO and unload the heads from the shipping container and take them to a hotel in San Francisco. So they had this conference in San Francisco where a bunch of doctors were going to get in and do...
Heads are shaved and stuff, right?
I didn't ask specifics.
I bet they're all old people too.
Well, prisoners and people who die.
This is very morbid.
Unclaimed bodies.
Very morbid.
Unclaimed bodies, Norm. Needless to say, when you try to pick up a few hundred human heads from the airport, hilarity ensues. But you should all donate your bodies to science. That's the lesson.
No.
It's good.
No.
Why? It's what are you going to do with it? After you're dead, it doesn't matter.
The thought of it.
For science, Norm. It's just meat on the slab.
Can you donate? Can you volunteer to only donate I think I have a good arm specimen. I'll only donate my left arm.
What, you're working on the guns and you want to show that off even after you're gone?
And that's all I want to donate. The rest of my body, let me rest.
I don't know. I think that donating your body to science is a good thing.
Yeah, med students need cadavers to learn how to practice.
Well, undergrads too. I mean, we had a cadaver in anatomy.
You have to share.
Yeah, well, you have like 3 or 4 people per cadaver generally.
You make a bond with the cadaver.
Yeah. Well, even dentists and stuff use cadavers. Like if you go to dental school, you have a cadaver, you have an anatomy.
I guess that's how they weed out the weak stomached.
It's the weed out class, exactly. Yeah. Speaking of mortal remains, SpaceX's Dragon launched the other day.
Yeah, it was originally scheduled for Sunday, and I guess we'll talk a little about the solar eclipse that also happened on Sunday.
I forgot about that.
But SpaceX, there was a delay, so it launched actually on Tuesday, and this is the first, I guess, the first commercial privatized space flight mission to dock with the International Space
Station.
To
the ISS, yes.
Because Dragon and SpaceX, they've launched the craft like years ago.
Yeah, they've done test launches before.
Yeah. And so this is unmanned. There's no one inside.
Nope.
And
at least not that we know of. There could be, maybe. Right. Who knows?
And this is Elon Musk's company.
The SpaceX, Tesla guy and the PayPal.
PayPal.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know if it's docked with ISS yet.
It docks tomorrow.
So
or late tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they did a flyby. It got, I think, within like 2 kilometers, which seems like kind of a long way, but it's very close in low Earth orbit. And they're going to dock, and they're bringing Twinkies and food and air and water and stuff like that.
Yeah.
To
So
the ISS.
On the actual Dragon craft, because the point of SpaceX is not only to develop a rocket that they can use that's much cheaper than the rockets NASA have been using for payloads, but also a reusable module.
Yes, capsule.
And the payload for this launch was a mixture of stuff that NASA paid for the ISS. And also, because it is a private company, there are companies that will let you pay to send things up into space.
And are they going to recover this?
No.
Or is it gone forever?
It's gone forever. So there's 2 stages of payloads. One, it's in the capsule. That's for the ISS.
Yeah.
And in the actual, the booster rockets, that stuff is technically in space, but that's not recoverable. And so that's, if you want something just sent to space, like your remains, but
your mortal remains.
Right. You don't care if, they're not going to want to waste the precious space of the stuff going to the ISS.
Well, and it's not like we want ISS filled with a bunch of ashes.
No.
That would be
so
a waste
it gets sent on the booster rocket to space, and then it falls back to Earth after 1 year and disintegrates in the atmosphere. That is where James Doohan's remains are. Scotty's remains.
So one of his last requests was to have his remains fired into space, and mission accomplished, guys.
And when people say that, it's not like all of his remains.
No, it's like just a sachet.
Yeah, it's a small portion of his ashes were sent to space. A part of him is in space now, and will soon, eventually, be disintegrated in the atmosphere.
Right, burn up as it crashes back to Earth. Do you want to talk about the solar eclipse now, or on what we've been testing?
You can talk about it now.
So Sunday was a annular solar eclipse, which is kind of like would have been a full solar eclipse, except the moon is at perigee and is very close to us, thus is smaller in relation to the sun. So it did not block as much of the sun.
Wait, so when the moon is close to us, and therefore seems larger than normal,
as
like a 17-inch pizza to a 19-inch pizza,
I might have fucked that up.
Then why if the moon seems bigger to us,
because it's further from the sun? No, I don't think that's right.
Yeah,
I think it must be closer to apogee.
Yeah.
I could fact check this right now, but there's only 2 of us, so I don't think we can
cover
the conversation.
The point is the moon did not block out the entire sun, which it can do in a different type of eclipse.
Yeah, if the moon is in the right position, the sun's at the right position, then you end up... It could also be that we're closer to the sun now than we normally are, so the sun's a little bit bigger too. That could also be a part of an effect. So the eclipse started in China, moved across the Pacific Ocean. The interesting thing about this is because of where it started the day after it ended. So because it crossed the international date line, it started on the 21st and ended on the 20th over North America.
Okay.
And we were just in San Francisco. We were just outside the path of annularity. So the place where if you were in the right spot, then the sun appeared to be in a circle, made a ring of fire around around the moon's shadow. We didn't get to see that, unfortunately, but it was still pretty damn cool where we were.
So what was the optimal way? There were lots of different ways to witness a solar eclipse. Don't look at the sun.
I just stared straight at the sun with my sunglasses on.
I guess you can if you're wearing the right type of visor.
That's correct.
Or helmet. But what are the different ways that you can look at a solar eclipse that people did look at solar eclipses?
So the obviously the old thing that you learned in elementary school with the pinhole and the cardboard box and a piece of white paper. You can also take a pair of binoculars or a telescope, aim that at the sun, and then project the image onto a piece of white paper, cardboard, or whatever. Mm-hmm. That's what we ended up doing. I used my binocs, and we were able to see everything really well. You could also take a pair of like welder's goggles or welder's glass that was rated shade 14 or higher, I believe, which has to do with the amount of light that it blocks. And then you can stare directly at the sun. That's cool at that point. But we used the binoculars on the piece of paper and sat in the backyard with the dog. I used the hose to hold the paper down because it was a little bit windy.
It's one of those things that if you didn't know a solar eclipse was happening at around 5:30 p.m. PST, PDT,
started at 5:20, 5:16
on Sunday, you wouldn't be able to tell.
No, you would have been able to tell. Like right as it got to the maximum, you would have been weirded out because it got kind of dark.
It not as dark as like when it's a foggy day in San Francisco.
Well, that's true. Like at one point, Gina looks over and said, "Hey, did a cloud just go over the sun?" Or
it's like everything looked. Maybe if you were paying attention to it, you could tell that everything looked a little bit muted. But it wasn't like in the movies where the world goes dark for a second and then it's bright again. The best way to tell would be to walk the streets and see on every other corner, families with shoeboxes and white pieces of paper and telescopes.
That was the easy way to tell, yeah.
Yeah, and if you didn't want to set something up yourself, you could walk around and find those people, and it was awesome.
There were a lot of people in the down here in Pacifica in their backyards drinking and grilling and watching the eclipse.
Eclipse party.
Ain't no party like a Pacifica eclipse party, Norm. I am fact checking this. The reason it is an annular eclipse is that the moon's apparent diameter is smaller than the sun. Okay, we got that part already.
Ask another why.
Why?
If you ask 5 whys, you'll get to the reason to everything.
Why is the moon smaller than the sun, Norm? Why is this moon smaller than the sun? I think it's because it's further away. I think that's why this happened.
Okay.
I don't know. The Wikipedia article, our fact checking has failed. And without Gary here, there's no one to cover the conversation. So I'm going to move on and talk about iPhone screen size.
Okay.
There's a rumor. We talked about this a
little bit last week, but since then, 95Mac came out with a very specific rumor about...
Less attention to the phone, more attention to the microphone.
I'm looking at the phone to look at the resolution. It's 960 by 640. I want to confirm that again. It's about the specific size and pixel dimensions of the next iPhone screen. And they're saying it is 1136 by 640, which if you use Pythagorean theorem,
A squared plus B squared is equal to C squared?
That's the one. You get a 3.99 inch screen. So that is the
assuming the pixels per inch stay the same.
Yes, which is what the rumors are currently saying.
So that means they're going to change the resolution, which means a dramatically
change the aspect ratio.
Dramatic changes. Well, changing the resolution and the aspect ratio, which means dramatic changes to the way iOS handles app rendering right now.
Absolutely.
So we will know after WWDC in a few weeks whether this is going to happen.
Yep.
Or else no apps will be working right, or they'll all look janky when the phone comes out. So. And the current rumor is range from summer, as always, to October, as last year.
My money is on summer.
Good to know.
That's always just hopeful thinking.
That's the Chan bet. You're already tired of your iPhone 4S. You're ready to move on.
Yeah. I'm ready to go back to a black phone.
I told you.
I told you. I wanted something different.
Uh-huh.
I got something different.
Yeah, uh-huh. And would you say you chose wisely or smartly?
Yeah. I know the experience of having a white iPhone. Do you know that experience?
No, I'm cool. I know that the black iPhone's better.
Okay. It's just like that iPhones are better than Androids.
No, I've actually used a lot of Android phones, so I'm pretty comfortable with that.
I'm good using the white iPhone for a while. Now I am ready to go back to a black one. And the problem isn't it's not a problem, but my explanation is that the white gasket area around the glass dirties up. That is noticeable on the white and not on the black.
It's funny. I always see girls using white iPhones. This is why I don't have a white iPhone.
Oh, okay.
Just saying. Do we want to talk about the VIA? Their it's kind of a Raspberry Pi competitor, but not really.
Yeah, it's VIA Technologies. They make motherboards.
I think it's pronounced VIA.
All caps. VIA.
They used to make motherboards for they used to make x86 compatible motherboards,
and they also used to make graphics cards.
Yeah, and they bought Cyrix, which was a x86 compatible CPU in the late 90s, early 2000s. But they've always been very low performance.
Yeah, they are planning to sell a $50 system. I guess it's a board with an ARM chip, and
it's like a Nano ITX or something, right?
They actually developed the Mini ITX
right.
Form factor. They popularized it, and now this is a new form factor they're calling Nano ITX, which is compatible with Mini ITX cases. But I'm sure there will be more different cases. For $50, it's not bad. I mean, you're getting potentially 720p video out on HDMI, VGA, 4 USB ports, and it runs Android 2.3.
It's designed for x86 Android, right?
No, it's ARM.
It's ARM.
It's ARM.
Oh, that's interesting. I missed that. When is this going to be out?
Sometime later this year.
What do you think people are going to use this for?
HTPCs. You
think that's it?
Yep. You're going to plug in a hard drive, a portable hard drive of that with all your RIP movies, and you have HDMI out, plug it onto TV, and you can play stuff.
Are they going to support... I mean, right now, one of the things I've had real problems with on Android traditionally has been playing H.264 ripped movies on Android.
There are decent apps for that. I don't think it's... Raspberry Pi has dedicated H.264 decoding.
Yeah. Well, so will this.
And so hopefully that'll be better. And Raspberry Pi does 1080p.
Okay. So this is only 720p?
Yeah.
$50 though. So there we go. That's something that's happening. One of the things that I saw today on The Verge is that the FCC is reinterpreting their rules again. There's pros and cons to this. So they're looking at the rule that basically allowed cable providers, required networks to sell cable providers content if they wanted to buy it. And they're reinterpreting that to imply that internet TV providers have to be afforded the same courtesy that cable providers get and other smaller networks get. And the upshot is, basically, I like this story. I hope it actually happens because it's kind of hoisting the cable companies by their own petard, right? Mm-hmm. The FCC rule that allowed them to exist in the first place, it allows cable companies to have NBC and CBS and ABC and all the other programming that we've come to expect from our cable providers, actually is going to be twisted against them to allow, in theory, internet TV providers to offer a cable-like service. So, for example, you can instead of subscribing to Comcast and your cable TV coming in over a proprietary coaxial signal, it could all just be delivered to your home over internet protocol, which is very interesting. Now, the downside to this is that anybody who wants to do that also has to collect the FCC fees and all the record keeping and all that stuff that a normal cable network has to do,
and the fines associated,
and the fines associated with it as well. But this could end up being a really good thing and could really open the door for internet-based TV or cable packages. So, I mean, what we could see is a disruptive influence from somebody like Netflix or Hulu, or more likely...
Don't say that word again.
Hulu? Disruptive?
No. Yes.
What if it's an innovative changes?
How about it's different?
Okay. Somebody doing something different, for example, offering a la carte pricing for cable for a cable-type service, which is something I would totally pay for. If I could get the 10 channels I actually watch and pay $20 a month for cable instead of $60 a month for cable, I would be totally down with that, and I think that sounds awesome. So, forcing change with competitiveness. Thank you, FCC.
Competition.
Yeah. So we'll see if it sticks. The FCC has been a little toothless lately, so who knows if... I'm sure this will be tied up in courts for a decade before anything actually happens. A couple of Lego news items. Mm-hmm. The first thing is that Lee Fried, who runs Adafruit Enterprises, or Adafruit Enterprises, I guess, because it's named after Lady Ada, has pitched a Lego set. There's been a controversy in the Lego world because it turns out that the Lego toys for girls are kind of sexist. And when I say kind of sexist, I really mean totally super duper sexist. It's like pink bakery shopping centers.
Ponies and stuff.
Yeah, weird stuff like that.
Yeah.
Not cool. So she pitched a set on the Kusu, the same kind of custom Lego thing that we saw the Minecraft and the Hayabusa and the submarine that you have and all that kind of stuff. So that's up now. You should check that out. I think if you search for Adafruit,
it looks great.
It looks really good.
Yeah. It's a really cool play set.
Well, like if you look at the detail, you realize that
I think it's good to
really
appreciate as a piece of design and also as a play set if kids want to play with it.
Yes. I didn't like if you make sure you look close. If you're interested in this sort of thing, you should look closely because the work that goes into the actual components on the playset is pretty impressive. The stuff, like if you look at it from far away, it looks like it's a little more simple than it actually is, I thought. But I thought that was really cool. It's definitely worth checking out, and I liked it on Facebook. So hopefully they'll get to build that.
Do your part.
Yeah, it's all we ask, an occasional liking. And then the other Lego news is that an SAP executive was caught in
Palo Alto,
in the Bay Area, in a barcode scam to get
barcode scam,
deeply discounted
barcode
Lego.
Scan. What is this?
A barcode scam?
I know what a barcode scan is. I'm saying, like, what was he thinking? So, in case you don't know what a barcode scan is, and I guess
scam.
Barcodes are scanned, but you take a barcode from a cheaper item,
yes,
and you paste it on top of a more expensive barcode or item. And
it seems like a thing that can't possibly go wrong.
No, it can absolutely go wrong if the checkout, unless you're going, buying something at where the employees don't care and don't even look at
and hate the parent company.
Yep.
So Best Buy.
Well, I doubt it would work at the Lego store.
No.
I think that's where this was being done.
No, this was done at Target.
Oh, Target.
It was all Targets. The Target loss prevention team cracked what was happening.
Was it a sting operation?
There was a sting operation, and they caught him doing it at one store, and he went to another store immediately following, and they tagged him coming in. Apparently, they had like wanted posters. They had pictures of the guy.
Oh my god!
They had no idea who he was.
Yeah, I see the dramatization of the behind the scenes, like security guards at Target getting really excited, hunched over security monitors. There we go.
We got a 413. We can 413 in the toy aisle.
He's carrying the Super Star Destroyer.
Yeah.
What marked down to $5.99?
This is an awfully big Lego box for something that costs $35, sir. Well, I don't know. it must be on sale.
How many kits do you have to buy to make a profit off that on eBay?
I don't know, but I think the number I saw was that he bought around $10,000 worth of Lego, which isn't, that's not that much. It's not, well, it depends on what he buys. It could be not that much Lego. But yeah, so he's probably going to go away for a while. I don't know why a dude who's an SAP executive is stealing Lego at this level. But I highly encourage you not to try this at home. It is not a good idea, even though it's like an Office Space idea. It's like skimming 0.3 of a cent off of every. We'll take
that's
the
a better
rounding
idea.
error. No, that's a dumb idea too. Don't encourage that, Chan. Let's see. I guess that's it for news. We talked about SpaceX. We talked about that. Do we want to talk about Maker Faire stuff at all, or do we want to save that?
They want to save that
maybe?
for the weekend, maybe.
Is there anything from Maker? We can talk about the third-person camera a little bit if we want.
Nope.
We can save that too.
Let's save everything.
It all.
Save it all.
Tabling all Maker Faire conversation until
the weekend.
This weekend, Sunday night.
Part B.
Part D. Let's play some music and talk about what we've been testing. That was the one. Norman Chan.
Will Smith.
What have you been testing?
I'm still wearing Nike Fuel Band.
Do you like the Nike Fuel Band?
I like it a lot.
Do you find that it is an accurate representation of your activity level and number
I find
of steps?
that I don't care whether it's an accurate. And
is it though?
It was both. I'll talk about this when we actually do the review. Compared to the Fitbit, it is comparable to the Fitbit.
Like within a 5 or 10% or something.
Well, it was very difficult to tell whether it was counting more steps or counting fewer steps. I'll put it that way.
Oh, so it swings both ways.
It did swing.
It all depends on your wrist movement.
And they count calories very differently, those two systems.
What's interesting, because the Fitbit, one of the jawbone, they recalled the jawbone up specifically because it was on the wrist and there was weird math there.
Well, also because of battery problems.
Right. But I mean, on the Nike people were the first ones who kind of realized, hey, the thing that matters with the pedometer isn't the length of we can calculate your stride based on your height and the number of impacts you take a day. And they did that with the Nike Plus. So
there's a lot of algorithms.
Trust them to figure this out.
Yeah.
If somebody's going to.
But I think it's less about that, and which is about the actual steps, which is why they have arbitrary fuel metric in the fuel band.
So it's like clout for your exercise.
Yep, for your health. But there are user experience attributes of the fuel band that make this very pleasing.
You like pressing the button and see it light up.
Love pressing the button and seeing it light up.
Yeah, I could tell.
Love.
It's the equivalent of Shiny Crow.
Yeah.
For Chan. What's your burn for today?
I'm still in the red, which is not good. I need to be in the green. It's like mana restore.
Can you take that by the hardware store and put it in the paint can shaker if you need to like crank up?
Nope.
No? That wouldn't do it? No. You know what the paint can shaker does.
I know. I do know what the paint can.
I feel like that would probably. We should test this.
I don't think that. I don't think that's.
You put in an empty paint can, not a full one.
No, I think that the pace is too high.
Oh, really? You think it would realize you're cheating?
Yeah.
I think you're doing something naughty. Yeah. Okay, good to know. Anything else you like about the fuel band you want to talk about before we do the quick look?
I want to save it all for the quick look.
Okay.
I do like it a lot, though.
Okay. Anything else you've been testing?
Nope. There's stuff that's going to be in video soon-ish that I'd rather save until it comes out in video.
Okay. I have been testing... What have I tested this week? Braga brought some Canadian coffee, which I haven't opened yet. I'll probably open that tomorrow. So I haven't been testing that. The juicer, we fired up the juicer again. I like the juice.
Are you using it every day?
No, I'm not. It's way too.
I feel like that type of product
to use every day.
It's a product that if you don't use every day, you are wasting its potential because of how much money it costs.
Well, it's $250.
That's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money for a juicer.
If you're not drinking juice as your only like meal for breakfast for a year, I think that's probably not worth it. Spending $250 on a juicer is a commitment to lifestyle change.
That's true.
It's almost like paying $250 to go, for
it's like a gym membership.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like a gym membership, but you're staying inside the house, and the only thing you have to go do is buy vegetables, which at the supermarket makes you look classy.
Well, I don't know if I would. So, do you feel grocery store shame when you go to the store? Like, what's your grocery?
If you go to the grocery store and you're just picking up like frozen waffles and
is that what your grocery store trips look like?
No. I well balanced grocery. I try to hit all the important aisles. If you see if there's how by the aisles, the end of the aisles by the checkout counter, there's always the freezer doors where they have the stuff that's on sale.
Yeah.
Don't buy from that.
Why is that?
That's bad. There's the freezer stuff.
Buying from freezer stuff in general.
Texas
is bad.
toast for $2 for big bin of that.
Right.
No thanks.
Freezer food in general, with the exception of like frozen vegetables, which are completely
do
legit.
the rounds. Go buy some mushrooms. Buy a different type of vegetable every time you go to the market. The
thing Gina and I realized when we were looking at the grocery haul the other day is that we pretty much just go around the outside edge of the grocery store now. It's like we go down the produce aisle and then we go down the meat and fish aisle.
The produce usually is an aisle. Produce is like a wall.
It's like the edge.
Yeah,
it's the right edge. Mm-hmm. And then you go to the meat wall, which is on the back.
The back wall is usually the meat wall.
It's dairy and bakery and maybe some eggs.
Yeah, that is, and
that's pretty much it.
Pretty much every modern supermarket. That's the ring around the market.
I wonder how that ended up being that way.
Because those aisles need
like room behind them.
Yeah, room behind them for the meat stuff because you're close to the butcher.
Yeah.
And
it used to be that
deli. You need that's all one side.
That has to have
and
people
then
behind
all
it
the
too.
wall for the green stuff.
Yeah, it used to be that the green, the door to the back came out in the green grocer, the
because they need to spray that
area. Well, the guy would come out and put just as much out as you needed before it was out of the deep freeze in the back.
And yes, I know buying produce and real healthy stuff is more expensive than frozen stuff. You don't have to get a lot of it, but every time I make a trip, get some blueberries.
Yeah, blueberries are good for you. They're full of antioxidants and shit. They got what plants crave.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what I've been testing. I did the third-person camera at Maker Faire, and that was exciting.
It's in the video.
It is in the video. You should check that stuff out. It's on the site right now. Haven't done a whole lot of product stuff this week. We've been really busy, and we're getting ready to be even busier. June, we're traveling every week, I think, except for maybe the last week.
No trip on the last week of June right now.
Yeah, so far.
No, there was a day trip, but no overnight flying trip.
Yes. Yeah, but we're gonna be we'll be all over the place, so we'll keep you updated on that stuff. I am so excited about what we have coming in June that I can barely stand myself. And I guess unless you have anything else you've been testing you want to talk about.
Nope.
You're using the AeroPress now.
I am using the AeroPress every day, and I've it knocked down to a perfect 10-minute system.
Mm-hmm.
10 minutes to heat up, boil the water, and make my cup of coffee. Warm the cup
from soup to nuts.
Everything. Grind the coffee. Having 10 minutes in and out.
And do you feel like, do you feel better about your coffee time now? How were you making coffee before? Were you just going to Starbucks?
I was driving to Starbucks.
Wow, every time you wanted a cup of coffee?
Yeah.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah.
Well,
save the money, save the time. But if I want to make more than one cup, then it adds another like 3 minutes every time I want to.
Yeah, we'll get you something else to brew some coffee.
I can count how long it's been since I've done dishes, but how many chopsticks are in the sink. Because every chopstick,
stir with the chopstick.
Every chopstick is one.
You know, the AeroPress came with a stirrer.
Yeah, but it's easier to clean
that
chopsticks.
Big paddle. Yeah, but the paddle is exactly the right length, so you don't accidentally tear the. Well, you do inverted.
I do inverted.
Okay. I've moved away from inverted. I'm back to verted.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, we're able to do it. I think when we get in the new office.
No. Why moving away from inverted?
Because I watched the people who won the AeroPress World Championship, and they were all doing.
That's way more time constraint. Time constrained, because if you're doing it the normal way, it's dripping as you're stirring.
I grind incredibly fine and push.
So,
trust me, there's no dripping. Yeah, I excuse me. I grind very fine so that there's no wow. Bless excuse me. Yeah, so that there's no pushing. I mean, there's a lot of pushing in order to get the water through.
Wow,
it's good. I'll when we get the new office set up, I'm going to go back and revisit a lot of the coffee videos and redo the cone and the AeroPress definitely, because I've refined the technique on both of those since we did those videos originally.
All right.
Maybe you come back and redo the siphon again too, because I've been spending some time with that, and that is I'm more impressed with that every time I use it. So let me play the music and let's take some questions.
Emails?
Well, but we do the other one.
Emails.
We don't do emails. We do
emails.
No.
Questions.
Boom. If you have a question for This Is Only a Test, the email address is podcast@tested.com. Keep your questions short. I had to bounce several because they were more than a minute and a half, and that is way too long. 45 seconds is the limit. Just cram it in there. You can do it. I have faith in you guys. Here is the first question.
Hello, Tested Crew. Brandon from Modesto, California here. I noticed Norm has a thing for collecting posters or prints. I've recently become addicted to Mondo. I was wondering what other sites are there like Mondo, or if there was one that will lump them all together in a single site, like T-Magnet does for t-shirts. Hometown trivia: Modesto is the hometown of George Lucas, we're sorry, Timothy Oliphant, you're welcome, and Jeremy Renner. So far, so good. Also, sorry for all the meth.
There is no other site like Mondo. Mondo has created a market for very limited edition poster drops because they have a very good relationship with movie studios and artists, which is the more important thing. The two other websites, which are poster makers, actually poster designers, I would recommend. They don't do stuff as much as Mondo, but DKNG Studios is one I recommend, and then also Phantom City Creative, which also designs posters for Mondo. They did the Back to the Future one, and also the I believe they did the Trip to the Moon one as well, the limited edition. There is a forum if you're interested in Mondo posters. I think it's on espressobean.com. If you search Mondo forum espresso bean, it'll pop up, and it's like a 4,000-page thread just about Mondo posters, and the people there they have pro tips for catching drops.
So I have a question.
Sure.
When Mondo does like those Avengers posters, I know, like, how much of those are actually like licensed from the studio?
They are all licensed, 100%.
They are.
The work, what they do. The guy's name is Justin Ishmael, and
call me Ishmael.
Sure, he's the creative director. He works with studios to get the license, so studios have departments for this, for promotion departments.
Yeah.
And then they have to send, it's like a multi-month long process to get the artists to work on the art, send a draft in, get it approved by the studio, and then determine based on the contract how much they can sell it for, what the run will be, and what the and how many they can print. That's why it's so limited.
So they don't start out by saying, "Hey, we're going to make 300 of these Avengers prints."
No, they say, "Hey, we Marvel." Either they go to Marvel or Marvel goes to them. In this case, I think Marvel went to them to promote the movie and said, "Hey, we'd like you to work, talk to your artists and do this poster series." And then they set want X number of this poster, X number of that poster. This is the price range, and then it works as promotion.
Okay.
PR.
It makes sense. Well, and the results have been really good. Like those Avengers posters, especially, were really good. The Back to the Futures ones were rad. Is that Moon poster in your house one of those, or
yes,
is it
the Moon one? Is a Mondo poster that was commissioned by Duncan Jones. He did both a Moon and source code one.
Oh, cool.
By Ollie Moss.
Excellent. I've got another question here.
Hello, Tested Crew. This is Finish from the forums. A bit of hometown trivia for me is that I currently live in Windsor, UK, which is also home of Her Majesty, the Queen of England. My question today is, I'm interested in buying an Ultrabook. Keeping in mind that I've never used a Mac before, is there any benefit to getting a MacBook Air in place of the Acer or Asus or any other type of Ultrabooks? And also, at this stage in the cycle, would it be worth waiting for Ivy Bridge, or should I just go and get a Sandy Bridge? Thanks, and always be testing.
So on the waiting for Ivy Bridge or going and getting a Sandy Bridge depends on how much you use stuff that requires graphics.
Wait.
You think at this point, wait?
At this point, there's no reason you should be buying a Sandy Bridge Ultrabook unless you are extremely price conscious and want to go something.
Here's the thing about Ivy Bridge versus Sandy Bridge: is Sandy Bridge CPU perf is going to be almost identical to Ivy Bridge. So unless you're doing stuff that
power efficiencies,
maybe power efficiencies are going to be better. I think right now you can get some stunning deals on Sandy Bridge laptops.
If you're going to wait for a MacBook Air, don't buy a Sandy Bridge MacBook Air.
That is I agree with that. What do you think about somebody who's never used a Mac before? Would you recommend an Air?
If they've never used a Mac,
no.
Go with an Asus or Lenovo.
I mean, the thing about switching to Mac that a lot of people don't realize is that if you're having to buy a bunch of software again, like obviously you're going to have to rebuy your copy of Office. You're going to have to, if you're still using Office, Office, Photoshop, all of that stuff, you could have some really expensive, a lot of money invested in Windows software, and that'll go away if you switch to Mac. So if you're not in that situation, I think that there's very little reason not to switch.
And if you're buying an Ultrabook, wait for Ivy Bridge no matter what. But if you're buying an Ultrabook and you're deciding between Windows or a MacBook Air, don't wait for Windows 8 either. Just get the Windows 7 Ultrabook once Ivy Bridge comes out.
And I think it wouldn't surprise me too much if this version of Windows is incredibly cheap.
I don't think it's
previous
incredibly
versions
cheap.
of Windows.
They have an upgrade plan in place for people buying within a few months of Windows 8 release, but I don't think it's going to be like any.
Well, if you qualify for the upgrade plan, then it's going to be $30 or $15 or something like that. It's really cheap. So okay. Well, Norm and I disagree. I think it's okay to buy the MacBook Air if you're not having to replace a ton of expensive software. Norm does not.
Yep.
And Norm would wait for Sandy Bridge, but I would probably just buy Ivy Bridge. Switch that around.
Yep.
And then the last question is.
Hey, Tested Crew. I'm Dean from Christiana, PA. For a little bit of hometown trivia, Christiana, PA is where the Christiana riot happened, and that was fairly essential in starting the Civil War. Also, for a would you rather not bathe or shower for a month, or only be able to drink Mountain Dew for a whole year? For my question, I'm trying to record Xbox 360 and PS3 gameplay, as well as probably some older console gameplay, and I was wondering how most sites do this. Because I went on Amazon and just searched on Google, and the choices seem to either be a really crappy device called EasyCap that's like $7, or something a little bit more expensive around $150, like the Blackmagic Intensity Pro or the Hauppauge HD PVR. And I was wondering if this is what most people use, or if they usually just get high-end graphics cards that have inputs on them that go straight into their PCs. Thanks, and always be testing.
I would rather not bathe for a month. Because
Easily.
after like three days, you wouldn't even notice anymore. And it would just make everyone around you suffer.
The question wasn't specific enough. If you can't bathe or shower for a month, you can still wash your face.
Yeah, I think that goes against the spirit. I think
there is no spirit. Be specific in your would you rathers.
I think that it would be awful. Well, of course, the thing is right now we rarely leave the house. So it's not like you didn't have the embarrassment of getting on the train and being the smelly guy that nobody wants to sit next to. But I think being the smelly guy that nobody wants to sit next to may be actually a good thing, because then you have a seat to yourself on the train all the time. And Mountain Dew for a year, that would be awful.
Yeah, no, that's...
I can't imagine a worse
decision.
punishment than Mountain Dew for a year.
With game capture, most people who do it at home do it differently than people who do it like professionally.
Well, we tested that Hot Pog box.
Yeah.
And we didn't test the Blackmagic, but it's apparently roughly equivalent. The Hot Pog box is really good. It only does component. It doesn't do HDMI, so that means you would have to use the component inputs on your Xbox or PS3. There's a new thing that's out now. I just ordered it today because I wanted to test it out.
Elgato.
The Elgato,
Game
exactly.
capture. It's $200.
I'm going to give that a try, but basically the way to do it is to spend $150 or $200. You want to avoid that Roxio box because it only captures at 480p, which sucks.
But even with you using these boxes, you're connecting the boxes to a computer with USB.
Yes.
And recording on your computer. It's not like the footage is stored on the boxes. The boxes is an intermediate game capture device. It just takes a video signal from HDMI or component and process it in a digital signal.
Mostly component, because the HDMI is going to be encrypted, especially on the PS3.
Well, Blackmagic has HDMI, and so does the Elgato.
But I don't know if they decrypt HDMI encrypted video, HDCP encrypted video.
I don't think so either.
Blackmagic, the high-end Blackmagic thing that Vinny had at the old office did not. So we had to use a kind of black market thing that
well, there's only HDCP on PS3.
On PS3, yes.
So for PS3 on the Elgato, there is a direct connection with the PS3.
Well, the Elgato says it does HDMI on the PS3, so I'm interested in testing that out. We'll do a quick look at that as soon as it gets here. The other question is if you want us to do live streaming. It's relatively easy to buy like a $30 piece of software to live stream PC games. It's called GameLink is the easiest one to use. I've been experimenting with that lately, and as soon as I can get somebody to play Diablo 3 with me long enough to test it, then we'll do a quick look of that, or at least post a how-to. That's really all there is to it. I mean, you need to spend a little bit of money on something in order to do that, unfortunately, especially with the consoles. I think I wouldn't surprise me if we see more kind of easy sharing of video with the next generation of consoles.
Like built in to the console.
Yeah, I mean, there's already a bunch of PS3 games that'll do that.
I think it's game specific.
Halo does that on the Xbox,
but that's not actually compressed video. That's just in-game files.
Well, no,
that gets rendered off-site.
You can. Well, yes, it does get rendered off-site. You can publish those to YouTube though. Right, from Halo on the PS3.
Halo, I mean, it's not like it's going from your Xbox
to
YouTube. It's the game files, scripts are going to Bungie, then you pay to upload, and they render and then push out to YouTube.
On the PS3, I think you actually are rendering and uploading to YouTube from the console, though. So yeah, that was a good question though, and I would rather do anything than drink Mountain Dew for a year. So that'll do it for us this week. Sorry for the short show. We will be back again on Sunday night late or maybe even the afternoon with a very special podcast.
When you say very special, it's like not last week's very special, but actually...
It's not Wes and Matt.
Oh, okay.
It's just three people in a room talking about stuff and things. Do we want to tell what's going to happen? I mean, we're committed now. We have to do it at this point.
Yeah, get the phone call tomorrow night. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I broke my wrist, and we're not going to be able to do a podcast. We're going to go over to Adam's workshop, and we're going to sit down with him, talk about Maker Faire, talk about making, and all the whatever else, wherever the conversation goes. So if you have ideas, if you have topics you would like us to delve into, send Twitter messages to Norm and I, and we will bring them up and put them on the list, maybe if we think they are not too terrible. So that'll do it for us this week. Thank you, as always, for listening to This Is Only a Test. We're back next Thursday with another show. I wonder if Gary's going to be here for the next week.
Want to put money on it?
No. Well, hold on. Which side do you want? Do you want not here or here?
I'm going to say here.
Do you want odds?
Oh, man, odds are too... I don't think we should put odds on it.
Okay, I'll take not here.
You think not here, and I'll do here.
Yeah.
And we'll say a...
the lunch that you owe me, I will forfeit.
Wow.
Or you can buy me 2 lunches. So $10, basically.
Deal.
Okay. If Gary shows, our debt is wiped clean.
Yes.
If Gary does not show, you owe me 2 lunches instead of 1.
That sounds fair.
Okay.
Or a really good lunch wherever our new office is.
I would take one $20 lunch.
Okay.
So lunch and beer, probably. Let's be real.
That's fair.
Okay, that'll do it for us this week. This week's outro. Oh, do we want to do fake outtakes? I don't think we have anything to fake outtake.
I will save it all for Saturday.
Okay. Yeah, we'll introduce Adam to fake outtakes. We'll see how that goes. This week's outro comes to you from Madden Man. We have a lot of these in the queue now because people made many. So if you have them, post them in the forums, and we'll see you guys next week. Hi there, I didn't see you.
Test it.
my goodness. Is that massive?
Hey, don't talk about my wife's strawberries. You know, this Elgato thing, the customers who viewed this item also viewed list is really weird.
What did they also buy?
They bought an Avermedia C281 Game Capture HD recorder. That's right. That one's good.
$150.
The next one is the Borderlands 2 Ultimate Loot Chest Limited Edition.
Lots of people were recording Borderlands.
On Xbox 360, though?
Why not?
Like Borderlands, when Borderlands 2 comes out, we'll live stream Borderlands 2, right?
It's easy
You're
PC
in
game.
for that,
Sure,
right?
Yeah.
And then Rocky the Undisputed Collection.
Hardcore.
Is that all of the Rocky movies for $30? Holy crap, it is on
1, 2,
Blu-ray.
3, 4, 5, and Balboa.
And that's 6 Rocky movies. Why would you not buy
on
that?
Blu-ray for $30. $5 a Blu-ray.
Okay, so which of those movies? I've never seen any of the Rocky movies.
What?
Yeah.
What? I'm
Gina
leaving.
just yelled what from the other room.
I'm leaving.
Is that so unusual? How many of the Rocky movies have you seen?
All of them.
Really?
All of
Are
them.
they good?
Yes.
Sylvester Stallone's not very good, though.
No, you're wrong. He wrote them.
Really?
He directed them.
Not
all of them.
Okay.
What?
They're all good?
No, they're not all good.
Okay.
But they're all watchable for various reasons. I can't have this conversation. Just watch them in order.
Do you start with Rocky Balboa? Is it a prequel?
No, Rocky Balboa is not a prequel.
Well, I thought it was a prequel.
You might have to wait 10 years after you watch Rocky 5 to watch Rocky Balboa. If you just 1, 2, 4, 6. That's really all you
is 3
need
the
to
one
watch.
with Mr. T, though?
3 is the one with Mr. T.
I like
and
Mr.
5
T.
is the
Clubber
worst
Lang.
one.
I played the Xbox game, the Rocky Xbox game, so I feel like I know the gist. It's an underdog story about an American hero. Just a small town boy doing the best he could in the big... Those crows are back. Did I tell you about the crows, Norm?
You can buy yourself this DVD set.
Every time I've walked... It's Blu-ray for $30.
Blu-ray set.
Every time I've walked out of the house for the last 2 days, there's been a crow sitting on the fence that looks at me and goes, caw, caw.
I think that is the sound of a crow. If it was a raven, you could attach notes to its leg.
No, that's only in Game of Thrones. You can't really do that in the real world. Okay, next week, Sunday night. Come back Sunday for more podcast. Bye.